Hey everyone, my name is Cris, this is my whiteboard, and welcome to Cristacular. In today's episode I'm going to talk about theories of possible problems that could occur during or accompanied with time travel. In this video I'm going to assume that time travel is only that, it's just time travel, not time and space travel, as many people like to assume it is. So, in time travel, you're basically stuck in the very moment from which on you decide to travel. And the problem I first thought of only happens when you go to the future. So, if we start in 2018 and we want to go to 2118, that's 100 years. But if you're a normal human person, you would die somewhere along that timeline. Let's say you die here in 2089. Now, if we assume it's only time travel, where you basically look like you've stopped moving altogether from the very moment you start to time travel. So it's a funny picture. The world around you moves at normal speed and you're only there existing, as if someone had a remote control only for you and they paused it. So you are stuck as a person, as an object in space-time right there. And while you exist as the you in 2018 all the way to 2118, let's call it that, you may look like the you from 2018, but you may not optically change or age, but your body will still age as well. Your body will age with the world around it, since the world keeps turning and the time keeps passing, but not for you or well for your mind, because your mind and body is basically frozen. But that doesn't mean that your body is conserved the way it is when you started to time travel. So if you went beyond your death point, you wouldn't be able to go further than that, because in 98, I'm sorry. You would die, you would cease to exist suddenly, and you wouldn't have been able to reach your goal of 2118. That's one of the basic problems of time travel when you want to go to the future. And I think that's a theory some might use to justify that it can only go to the past. So, to recap, in 2018, you start to time travel. The world around you keeps moving at the normal speed it usually does. It's just that you are stagnant in the moment from which you started to time travel. Until it's like cryosleep. Unless in cryosleep you're covered in ice or something. Well, not covered, but you're literally asleep. So it's also a way of time travel, but here it's not cryosleep because it's time travel. Your body is not conserved in any material that helps it to sustain until 100 years later. So your body basically rots away from the moment you start to time travel till the moment you actually die in your timeline or in your lifetime. So that type of time travel wouldn't work. I hope that doesn't sound as confusing as it just did to me, but that one just doesn't work. A good example of that is the movie The Time Machine. I don't know the name of the characters, so I'm just going to call them guy and girl and time machine. But you have the guy that built a time machine, and first he goes to the past to save his fiancée, but her death is a predetermined factor. Otherwise he basically wouldn't have been able to build a time machine, because he wouldn't have needed one if he would have been able to save her in the past. So she keeps dying over and over again. And he gives up and goes to the future because he doesn't see a reason to live anymore, because his fiancée is dead, or girlfriend. I don't know if he wanted to ask her to marry him the moment, the evening she died, but anyway. So his time machine can go to the past and to the future and back to the present from which he started. So going to the past doesn't do anything. He may change the way she dies, but he couldn't change the outcome that she dies after all. So she's dead, that happens, he can't change the past. That's the linear time model where past, present and future are set and the things happen the way they do. So from then on we see that his time machine and himself never leave the very spot from which they started. And my question basically is, since we are from his point of view, we see the world move at an incredible velocity around him and he moves at normal speed, his actions and all. But if we take the point of view from one of the people who are not time traveling, would he be stagnant in that very moment from which he started to time travel, or would he be invisible for people outside of the time travel plane? Yeah, let's call it that. So, well, it would be funny if he would be staying, like I said, and we would be able to see him just sitting there, not moving, not breathing, not doing anything, until at his time of death, he actually drops dead and dies, or more drastically, ceases to exist altogether. So he wouldn't be able to travel to the future at all. In the movie he does, however, because they didn't consider that a possibility, it seems. So that's one of the basic problems of time travel I wanted to talk about today. And well, when you're stuck in the moment from which you started to travel to the future, you wouldn't be able to go past your time of death, moment of death, point of death, whatever. Yeah, so that wouldn't be possible. Now for the second, or the other problem of time travel, we're gonna go to the past a bit, but not a lot in the past, as we did in earlier videos where I talked about going to the past before your date of birth. But let's see, we start from 2018, and I, for example, have been born in 1998. Now, if I went beyond that point into the past, it would kind of be good. But if I only went back to 2017, basically, what would happen? Would the me that has, no wait, either a paradoxon or a loop here? Because if I go back from there to 2017, the moment I hit 2017, two versions of me would exist if we assume that it's only one timeline we live on. So no parallel universes, no branches, just one singular timeline from past, present to future, and so on. So if I went back from 2018 to 2017, I would exist twice. Now in Mr. Peabody and Sherman, that does happen. There's this rule that you must never go to a point where you've already existed, so you don't meet yourself, so you don't create a huge rip in space-time. So would that actually happen if I met myself, or would that just be two versions of me? And does it actually create a loop? Because the me from 2018 goes back to the me from 2017. Now, would the me from 2017, from the second 2017, even have to go, when they hit 2018, go back to 2017 again to keep the paradoxon / loop alive? Or could it just go beyond that point and ignore it, since the me from 2018, the original me, already went back to meet the me from 2017? Was that even a question? Okay, so we can either assume that in 2017 there's two me's. They could live on together, or they could kill each other, or try to kill each other so that only one keeps on living to carry on into the future. Or either one could cease to exist, or both could cease to exist, or both could merge to one person and rip the whole space-time apart. Now, let's talk about acquaintances from the past and the present from which we started time travel. For people in 2018, it might not appear as if you've ever gone anywhere, since you can just relive the past year and meet them again the very moment you left. So nothing changed, except you yourself know that you've lived apart for a year. But what about the you that still existed before? Because there you have a person, but then suddenly there's two people, and obviously the you from 2018 would want to go back to then regular life in 2018. But if we now assume that there's parallel universes, by the act of time travel there has been a parallel universe created where the you from 2018 that has gone back to 2017 doesn't exist anymore in the original timeline, well, in their original timeline. So let's say this is the time traveling you's timeline, the bottom one, and the one up there is the original. So the you from 2018 goes to the 2017 from a different timeline, which means from there on there will be two of you going to the next 2018, but in the first timeline from which you started to time travel, there won't be any yous left. So there's no future for any version of you in that timeline, or the timeline itself has been eradicated by you leaving it. If you assume that the whole timeline revolves around yourself as the center point, so if you either leave or do anything else, it changes it, if you want to assume that. Now, the dilemma here is there's two of you there in this timeline. What do you do with the other you if the both of you can coexist? Do you just pretend you suddenly get a twin, or do you actually kill each other to assert dominance over yourself? Either way, that's another basic problem of time travel. So at first we talked about not being able to go beyond your point of death or dying when you try to do that. And now we have the problem of going back in time, where in the end two of you exist. And I think that's all the problems I can think about today. So if you can think of any more you want me to talk about, or you just want me to tell that there's more problems, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and if you like this rambling mess I'm trying to call a video, please like, subscribe and share it. Anyway, bye!